right, Danielle.
Please state your full name and limit your remarks to 3 minutes. Thank you for your anticipated cooperation.
Thank you. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please remain standing for a moment of silence for all those who sacrificed their lives to give us the opportunity to serve our country and our town. Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. So tonight we have a continuation of our public hearing, which opened on July 13th, of the local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending section 134-2 definitions, amending section 155-1 terms defined, amending section 155-12 use regulations, amending section 155-31 site plan review, and amending section 155-31O minor site plan review of the code of the town of Marlborough to regulate farm event venue events. So we still have the public hearing open. If anybody at this point would like to come up and have any more comments, come on up and do so. Okay, since there's no more comments, I'm going to read the two comments from, as we do these laws, we recommend them to our Ulster County Planning Board. We also recommend them to our own town planning board, and I will read the comments. So Ulster County Planning Board reviewed all our documents that we sent them. This is the shortest recommendation I think we've ever received from Ulster County. It says, recommendation, building department role advisory to further streamline the minor site plan review process. The town should have the building department review and then approve applications if the criteria are met. I discussed this with board members. I discussed this with our attorneys. This is something that we would not be taken on as a recommendation. Basically, we don't believe that the building department should be given approval to site plan approvals. That's strictly the role of the planning board. The building department oversees the code. They oversee giving out building permits, and they give out building permits based on the planning board site approval. So, and I believe even the town planning board discussed this, and they also eventually agreed that that would be the recommendation. So I just need a motion that we will not take the recommendation on this specific code of allowing the building department to review and approve applications on this. I need a motion.
I will make that motion.
Need a second?
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None said, so approved for that. So at the July 10th meeting, our planning board also reviewed the code, and they came back with 5 different recommendations. I think some we're going to look at, some I don't believe we need to, but I'm going to read them. The planning board further makes the following recommendations and comments. Consider whether farm venue events should be special use in the R1 zone district, requiring both minor site plan review and special use permit, because the R1 district is primarily residential rather than agricultural in character. So we're going to look at that and take that under advisement. We're going to have discussions with our attorney if that's something and the board wants to do. And the second one was articulate the applications for farm venue events must submit evidence that they are situated in the RAG1 district or at the county state agricultural district. So I think what they're asking us to do is to actually put something in the code that states that they have to prove that they're in the RAG1 district. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if we have to do that, just basically because we already have zoning, and the zoning actually already tells us which SBL is in RAG1, R1, R, or highway development. So we're going to look at that. I think maybe the second part of that is to verify with the county if they are in the state agricultural district, because that's another part of it, is the county actually designates if you're in the state agricultural district. Okay, so we'll look at that one. Consider removing the 10-acre limitation in the definition of farms. I think we all discussed this a few times, and we didn't want to remove that for farms itself. Clarify how and whether agricultural tourism practices such as the U-Picks, agricultural events, and are subject to site plan review under the proposed local law. I mean, my opinion is I think it's kind of self-explanatory to that, but we could further update some of the wording in there to make it more clear. Again, if you can't tell, we are going to update the code, so we will be making some changes to this. And the last one was provide a grace period following adoption of the local law, which properties subject to the local law must submit applications for the planning board to comply with the code. So if there's any violations that are out there, they're saying once we pass this code to give some grace period in there to allow that. We're pretty much doing that already. I mean, some of the violations that were written over a year ago. So I would say we got a pretty good grace period going right now. I don't think we need to specifically put that in the code. But again, we're going to discuss those. So I read those. Just again, anybody else have any more comments on the current proposal for this code change? If none, I'm going to make a motion to close the public hearing, and I would need a second.
I'd second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? None said, so moved. Again, just for the public's awareness, we are probably going to make some changes to this. So we probably will be, we definitely will be introducing the law again, which means then there will be another public hearing, and you'll have an opportunity to give your comments based on the changes. And I want to thank Dan Havens and his wife for coming in, and I followed up because I wasn't here at the last meeting, but watched the board meeting, and I got feedback from the board members that Dan had some really good points. So I did want to meet with him personally, which I did, and he sent some information to me that we're going to look at through the board and see if we're going to take any of those recommendations as well. So I thank the farming community for giving us a lot of feedback, because a lot of them have done so thank you. Okay. So we're going to move on. So motion to approve the agenda. I need a motion to approve the agenda.
I make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Motion to approve the minutes from the July 13th, 2026 Town Board meeting.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes.
Need a second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. So moved. We have authorized the payment of bills of $1,008,408.90. Big month. Need a motion to pay the bills, and then I'll tell you what some of those are.
I make a motion to authorize the payment of the bills of $1,008,408.90.
I will second that motion.
I like your first one, Manny, 1,000. But all in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. So again, like I like to break it down, so $539,909.69 is Callahan Industry. That's our repaving of the roads. So that's a big chunk of the money right there. Again, we get chip monies back for this from the state, so majority of that money does come back to us. Receiver of taxes, these are the tax revenues that we pay out. So that's $209,886. MVP again is $95,834.13. So we do pay quite a bit for our health insurance. Vanderwater, $59,840.71. That's our attorneys. $9,500 or roughly around there is from normal bills. $10,800 of that is for FOIL requests. $39,410 are for Article 78 proceedings. Just to give you some breakdown, which is quite a bit.
Scott, I got a question. For the $509,000 for the roads, how many miles of roads did that cover, do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head, Manny, but yeah.
Approximately what?
Three.
3?
It's not a lot. Yeah, we'd have to get I mean, John had that, he sent it to us, but I don't want to give you an exact number because I don't have it on the top of my head.
So 3 miles costs about $500,000, is that what you're saying?
If that's what Dave's saying, Dave would know better.
Okay.
Earth Care's $25,992. That's for our sewer plants. That's the sludge that's removed. Kind of a dirty job, but State Comptroller, this is our court fees that we paid back to the state, was $11,916. And $12,750 were to Winton Company, and that's for the rotors at the treatment plant that we're upgrading at the Marlborough plant. So that's just some of the bigger items in that $1 million. So we're getting to our presentation. So Sidney Cash and Kay Down are here. Sidney's right over there with his little presentation, I think. And Katie's over here. So they're going to come up and explain to the public and to the board their project that they're doing, and the floor is yours. And Sidney, you need some of the lights off, you said, now, or? Okay, thank you. Go ahead. Come on up here, Sidney. Come on up, Kate. Come on up, both of you. Right up to the mic.
You want to use the microphones?
Arts Mid-Hudson has a re-grant program, and where the state provides money, it's from the New York State Council on the Arts and the support of the Office of the Governor and the New York State Legislature. Money comes to Arts Mid-Hudson, and it's for projects and commissions that have some kind of community involvement. That's really what is the basis for a lot of this, the money that goes out. There were probably 75 organizations that got money and about that many artists who got money to do something in conjunction with their community. My proposal was to do some artwork in conjunction with our Marlborough Free Library, which is under renovation and will be, hopefully in October, it will be finished. There'll be an opening, and I will have some artwork installed in the library then. Katie has another project she'll tell you about, a historical project for this community in relationship to the library also. And so that's basically what it is. And I brought a piece in like the pieces that will be installed. The name of you had to provide some kind of name for your project, and mine was Radiance. And recently I had been doing some artwork where there was light was radiating out, and it was very exciting to me, and that's what I wanted to do, and I wanted to use color, so you'll see a beginning piece from that series and project. And not only does it have those rays, if you walk in front of it, there's a kinetic movement and the patterns inside.
Pretty cool, actually.
And there's another one that's shaped like a house, so that it's got the sides and then it's got a house and rays go up from the roof of the house. That's it.
That looks pretty cool, Sydney. If everybody doesn't know, Sydney had also done the artwork that's up in the main lobby of the town hall. It's been on display now, what, 4 years? For Tony Falco, he made this art piece in memory of Tony, and it sits in our hallway upstairs. There's a memory book if anybody ever comes to the town hall and would like to put a memory of what you've had with Tony. It's there to write in and reflect on, and it's a really beautiful piece. So thank you, Sydney. Thank you. Yep. I'll give a funny story about your project upstairs, though, just quick. When you first installed it, remember we had to do the lights, and we had the lights, and we pulled the lights from the bathroom? Well, after we put when we click on his lights for the project, so the shine on his art piece, the bathroom lights would go off. So people would be in the bathroom, and they're like, what the heck happened? All the lights went out. And we couldn't figure it out for a while. We were like, what's going on? Like, the lights are going on, the lights are going off. But we ended up figuring it out, and we got a secondary switch. But it was just a funny story, so I had to tell it. So thank you, Sydney. Katie, come on up, Katie.
Hello, everybody. My name is Katie Down, and I'm a resident of Marlborough since 2016. So I'm completely brand new here. And I'm an artist, a musician, and a creative arts therapist based in the hamlet of Marlborough. And I, too, received a grant also a re-grant through NISCA, which is the New York State Council on the Arts, which was the original granting body that then re-granted to a smaller organization that covers all of New York State, which is called the New York State Rural and Traditional Arts Fellowship, of which I believe 10 rural and rurally based artists were awarded a grant. So I applied for the grant, didn't think I would get it, got it. Okay, here we are. And the proposal was to create an oral histories project with the community. I'm not per se a rural artist. I'm actually a musician and a sound artist. Rural artists often work with fiber arts and things that are more attuned to the natural world. So I didn't think that they would give it to me, but they thought it was an interesting and valid enough project. So I was awarded the grant. So I'm very excited. And it was awarded sometime around mid-April. So I've since then, have been diligently and annoyingly so, reaching out to as many people in both hamlets of Marlborough and Milton. So the greater Marlborough is included in the project. And Scott was kind enough to grant me an interview just the other day, so that was wonderful. And we have some wonderful volunteers in Marlborough who are also interviewing members of the community. So there are 3 aspects of the project. The first phase that we're in right now is gathering the oral histories. We have roughly 20 questions that are quite open-ended, not too probing, not too personal, but that allow the interviewee to really expand on their experience of being a resident of Marlborough. We have residents like myself who are new, and we have people here who have been here for many, many generations. So I'm casting a wide net to make sure that I include as many people from both Marlborough and Milton as possible to be in the project. So that's phase 1. And my goal is to get 50 to 60 interviews. We're at about 35 now. And so I just had an interview earlier today. I came from that. So phase 2 is the art part. So I'm not an oral historian, just FYI. That is definitely not my level of expertise, but I'm a sound artist. So I collect and gather sounds as a point of interest in my compositional work. And the oral histories part, in their entirety, the oral histories will be archived at the Marlborough Free Library. My art part of it is to take snippets of these oral histories and create a sound collage. So if you think about an art collage, a visual collage, there are little sections that create a whole picture. And this will be in sort of the sound realm. So we'll hear snippets of everybody that's been interviewed, along these sound walks that will take place in the hamlet of Marlborough and along the Marlborough Nature Trail. There are 2 sound walks. The reason why there are 2 is originally I was going to have one walk just along the trail, and then I realized that the walk, although rather easy for some, not easy for everyone. So I wanted to make sure that it was inclusive so that everybody, no matter how mobile they are, can experience this piece of art. So there are 2 separate walks, 2 separate compositions, 2 separate sound collages. A lot of work, in other words. And so each walk will be about 45 minutes to an hour in length. They will include the snippets and collages of the sounds of the people of these 2 hamlets. Also, sounds that I've gathered. So ambient sounds from places of business, natural sounds, of course, 9W, the waterfall, the falcon, everything that comprises our community. And hopefully it paints a picture that is maybe a little abstract, but evocative of a feeling state of the community. That is my goal. So that is phase 2. Phase 3 are the walks. So that will happen in October. So the 2 walks will be in October, 2 on, I think it's on the 16th or the 17th of October, and 2 on the 18th. And on the evening of the 18th, the Falcon has generously provided their downstairs space for a community gathering, which will be like an open mic for everyone who wants to be part of it. Whether or not they've been interviewed or not, doesn't matter. They come and share stories, part of their oral history if they like, a poem, a song, or just hang out and have some food. So it's just a chance for the community to get together. So I have explained to the grantees that due to the fact that it's a rather ambitious project, and although I do believe I will achieve the 50, that's my goal, I am now realizing I need to have more because I've met so many amazing people, and everyone has an incredible story that's been so moving, and so it's really shown me an aspect of Marlborough that I never knew existed, that I want to continue to interview people. So after the grant has been realized, which will have to fiscally end by 2026, my goal and my hope is to continue into the winter and continue to interview folks and do a second series of public walks in the spring once it's nice out. Obviously we won't do it in the winter. So that's the goal. So October is is the first sort of preliminary appetizer of another larger public event I'm hoping to do in the spring. So that's sort of the general idea. The name of the project is called Sound Stories. And I've left a bunch of flyers for anyone who doesn't know me here. Some folks do. There is a website. There's a QR code where you can just point your phone. We have an Instagram. It's not a very good one, but we do have one because the high school students told me that I needed to make one. And we also have a Facebook page for those of us who are over 40. And all of the information about the project is on the website, including all of the questions that I ask, so that in full transparency, everyone knows what it entails. I also, just to say that, and I'll leave these here if I might, I've given all of my interviewees, obviously the right to withdraw their oral histories at any point if they think about it and they're like, yeah, maybe not, It's totally fine. These are for the community, not for me. So we've got plenty of material to create a sound collage. It's fine. My gift to the community, what I'm hoping to do, is to provide an opportunity to learn about each other, our loved ones, our community, our ancestry. Part of the grant has provided small audio recorders that live forever now at the Marlborough Free Library, so you can check them out like you would a book. So there are these codes that you can, so I think they have 4 of them, and they have packets and a little how to do an oral history, etc. Later in the fall, I will provide a free workshop at the library and also at the Marlborough Historical Society on how to take oral histories for folks who are interested and want to do this for their loved ones. That part is kind of separate from the art part. So the oral history project, I'm hoping with Tessa and Ashley's approval and support, will just continue on its own as something that just lives in Marlborough. And that's at the Free Library. And also the high school has a bunch of recorders as well, because the high school students are also interviewing their families. So that is all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening. I really appreciate it. I can be reached here, so all the contact information is on this little flyer, and I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Very interested.
Thank you, Katie. Thank you. And Katie is very professional, I have to tell you. I didn't expect she got, her headphones out and a professional mic. It was really a great interview because, we all live in this town, but you don't sometimes think about all the great things that are going on in our town. And then when you get asked the questions, it's nice to be able to say it. And we are a very diverse type community now, and it's good to get a lot of background. And it's going to be awesome to hear it when it's complete. I think it's a really, really cool art type project that I don't think anybody would ever think it would be an art project, but it is. It's cool. It's really cool. So thank you. Thank you so much. All right. Supervisor's report. I was going to show some pictures, but since my computer's not working, that's all right. But that's okay. So what I want to say is we want to thank that the state, local, county, especially Michelle Henchy, for pushing for the aid for our farmers. And in this past week, it actually happened. The USD Secretary Rollins responded, and he actually issued a disaster decree. And so now all the local farmers are able to apply for these low-interest loans. People don't understand these are low-interest loans. They're not straight-out grants. But what they can do is get you through this season and hopefully get you through to the next season and keep you going. We want to thank Pat Ryan at the federal level. I know he was on USDA as hard as he could. I want to thank Laura Donovan at the county and County Executive Metzger for writing all the letters that they had. And, and I want to really, really thank the farmers, because the farmers did themselves write a lot of letters themselves, direct, and they came together on a bunch of occasions when we had meetings, and those things actually put the pressure on county, state, and federal officials to do what they need to do. And I want to announce that was done, so I want to congratulate everybody on doing that, and thank you. I also want to thank Paul Ibsen. When I was on vacation, I had planned a reading of the Declaration of Independence at the July 10th meeting, and I asked General Lazaroff to fill in for me from the Recreation Committee, and I talked to Mike Rydell, Jimmy and Jeff at the school, the teachers, and they got a whole bunch of these students together from their classes, which I couldn't believe it. And Paul was a teacher his whole life, so he's a very, very patriotic person if you haven't met him. I think he'd be an excellent person for you to interview. And he really wanted to see something for the 250th anniversary, our Declaration of Independence read. And Mike Rydell, I want to say, he's always supported our Recreation Committee and things that the town did, and he jumped right on it and got Jeff and Jimmy right on it. And these students came out and did a fantastic job reading it. So I want to thank them. So that was a great event. If everybody doesn't know, I'm sure Sherry will elaborate on this a little. We're having our final concert series on Friday with fireworks, and I don't know if you want to elaborate who's going to be there, but there is the end of the season fireworks show, so it is going to be kind of packed, but I would advise everybody to come a little early. We got nice food trucks, so go ahead, Sherry.
Yeah, we do. So it's our final concert in the park. This one is really cool because it's all local Marlborough-based bands that will be performing, so it'll be very exciting. We have the Bloody Shame, Low Noon, and the Burrows all participating. Those are all the bands, so we get 3 bands this weekend. And then in terms of food trucks, we have Ben Marl Winery, which is a drink setup, obviously. Bobby's Brick Oven Pizza, Pop's Place, and then Smokin' Great Barbecue and License to Chill Ice Cream. So lots and lots of food options. And then, of course, the highlight, well, for me, maybe only, but the highlight is the fireworks. That'll be right around 9 o'clock toward the end of the concert. So I don't want to brag, but our fireworks have been pretty darn good the last couple of years, so I would highly encourage anyone who's available to come out and watch those.
I had a question because a couple people asked if it rains. Is there a rain date?
Yeah.
Have we decided that? I know we talked about it.
We have talked about it. We have to work with the firework company to try to reschedule if there is bad weather. So we'll keep you posted and make announcements on our Facebook page, and we'll send things out through the town text system and the town Facebook page as well.
Yeah.
So just check in there, but we're double finger crossing that we have good weather on Friday. And if not, we'll have to make a last minute decision. So we'll keep you posted.
But the concert will still go on, right? It'll be rain or shine.
Since we've been doing this, I think we've gotten every single concert that we've scheduled out and happening. So it would have to be pretty extreme weather for the concert to not happen. If there was obviously something dangerous, we wouldn't have it. But we luckily, knock on wood, have not had that in the past. The big thing is going to be if it's too wet for the fireworks to actually ignite, then that's something we'd have to reschedule.
Yep. But extreme weather, we don't have extreme weather here. No, we don't have no extreme. That's kind of like all we have. Well, let's hope. Let's all hope that it goes through and everything is great. So I also want to follow up. Remember I talked about it a few meetings back on the school zone, and the DOT still, they won't put the actual school zone sign. We understand now, the police department understands what the one sign they do have there means. But I was able to work with the highway department, and on Birchall Avenue now, at least, if you go up and down Birchall Avenue, you'll see east and west. There's school zone signs all over the place, parking. If everybody doesn't know, there's a lot of drop-off there during the morning hours and in the evening hours, and it kind of backs up, and then sometimes kids jump out into the middle of the road. So it's kind of a really dangerous situation that our SROs are always monitoring. But we were able to follow up with the complaint that we had gotten from a local resident there, and we were at least able to do that. So I wanted to follow up and thank John and the guys for taking care of that for me. We did have some severe weather, as you said, earlier in the month. And I want Dave to follow up. I had some pictures I wanted to show, but we had some damage down at the dog park. Some trees came down, quite a bit of trees. And Dave, you want to elaborate what you had to do down there, but there was quite a bit of work to be done.
So unfortunately, I was away during those 2 bad Monday and Tuesday rainstorms, but the highway superintendent got a hold of me and let me know that there's some damage on some of the town properties that we maintain, one of them being the dog park. So we did have to go in there in conjunction with the highway department, which was great because we were able to get all the large trees and whatnot stacked up. And then the highway department came in with their chipper and a few of their guys, and they helped us out and got it all cleaned up. Also, the town park, there was some stuff down. Our park employee, Riley, was a great help. He rides around and he picks up all the smaller stuff that he can handle. So that was cleaned up as well. And then we also checked the other 7 properties, and there was limited damage to them. The dog park was the major one. Just to add that what we do at the park isn't just maintained, but recently we had an Eagle Scout come to us a few months back and asked to do a project. And the reason why I'm mentioning it is because we get these requests quite often, but unfortunately, most don't follow through. And this individual, young man, came in, presented us with a plan, followed through. I actually had told him if he needed any help that I would definitely lend a hand, and he came up with a map and plotted out 10 areas where he wanted to put these campsites for tents. They're 12 by 12 pressure-treated platforms, but obviously in the woods everything is overgrown and uneven. So he came up with this map, and very surprisingly, because I didn't expect it, And we spent a good day up there clearing property out. And within a month or so, he returned and built 10 of these amazing 12 by 12 platforms. I couldn't believe that he followed through with such a large project, but he did an incredible job. If you guys ever go to the park, you want to walk up in the back and check it out. For a young guy to do what he did, I commend him, because
That was his Eagle Scout project, right?
his Eagle Scout
Yeah.
project, it was great, and we were happy to help him out. And I think in the future he's going to come and make a presentation. I'm
Yeah,
sure
he's
we'll have a
gonna come back.
slideshow and whatnot. But it was
So these platforms are lean tools for when kids go for the Boy Scouts, Cub Scouts, they go to the park and they camp out.
Yeah.
And what they used to do is they were camping out on the ground, right? It gets wet, it gets yucky.
I think they were more concerned about
So-
snakes and stuff
Snakes
like
and
that.
bugs, so now they actually could put their tents on top of these
So
platforms.
it's nice. We try to
It's nice.
encourage the young people to get involved, and we don't see a whole
Yeah.
lot of it. But this kid really pulled through, and it'd be nice to see other people get involved as much.
So we got a couple more coming, Dave, for
Yeah,
you,
good,
right?
Good. I'm glad.
So, I know they're gonna redo the bridge over by
Yeah.
Willow Tree.
And the one
That's
in the
one,
middle,
the
yeah.
one up by the falls themselves. They want to widen or at least help clear the path again for you. I said, I know you did a lot of that already.
Yeah, we cleared a lot of. We even made a couple new trails, and then Riley actually maintains them. He's got his tractor, and he
Yeah.
goes in there and mows them, and he keeps.
Yeah, I
them-
want to say, like you mentioned it, but Riley, our park employee, this is the time of the year he really shines, and he's been really doing a tremendous job lately, and especially with the concerts, and we have hundreds and hundreds, at the fireworks, we're probably 1,000 people there. He keeps up with, maintaining the parking, getting people parked, getting the garbages, the
Yeah, the garbage is
bathrooms,
big,
and
yeah.
he does quite a bit of work that's never maybe appreciated as much by everybody. They don't see him doing it. He's like
Well, it's
kind
not
of like in
appre-
Disney. You don't see them, but he's
It's
actually
really not
taking care of
appreciated
things.
because I visit. We have 9 municipal properties, and
Yep.
and I visit daily myself. And I got to tell you, it's just a few people to ruin it for everybody. We went in there this morning. I hate to say it, the soccer field, the baseball bleachers, the basketball bleachers, the new EV charging station. There's coffee cups and water bottles and tissues. I don't know if people are emptying out their cars when they pull in or what it is, but this is our park. I would ask that if anybody ever sees this, that they would give the town a call, or we all carry phones, take a picture, because we would love to get a hold of these people that are doing this. It's really a shame. We spend a substantial amount of money and a lot of time, and not just when we're in our paid positions, but also when we're riding through. Like when we go to the concerts in the park, where I see people continuously helping out, which is nice, but there's always a few people who, I don't know why they feel they can just throw stuff wherever they want, but it makes it bad for everybody. So
Yeah.
keep that in mind.
But Riley tries to keep up with it. But you're right. If people didn't do that, it would be much easier. But yeah, it happens. Thanks, Dave. So on the park thing too, we've been getting a lot of feedback on the pickleball court. The pickleball court's been getting used quite a bit, like tremendous amount of use. We have got some things that we have to work on it. We've been working on it, and I want to have Manny give a little update on. He did meet with. We're looking at painting it and making it more usable for in the summertime because of the heat. And I didn't realize this, that the black on the black top, which makes sense, is hot, but it actually deflates the ball or something like that.
It melts
know
the
this.
wall. Yeah, so we met with a contractor today, and we're looking to get some quotes on some acrylic painting, so we could apply and with 2 different color schemes, sort of brightens up the colors, take away that black top, darkness that attracts the heat, and so this way the players could be a little bit cooler while they play. And but there's also other comments that came up as people playing and we're getting the facilities. Some people say, hey, you look, the morning sun, you get blinded by the sun, and is there some kind of shade that we can have to block it? So we're working through the comments, and so trying to see that all suggestions that they give us, and we're trying to accommodate them to make improvements. But right now, this having the pickleball courts painted and brought up to professional grade, let's say, that everybody's used to, we're on the way, and we're working on it, and and we'll see what kind of bids we get, and so we could budget for next year to make these kind of improvements.
Yeah, so we're planning ahead. You know, I asked Manny to get these quotes, not just for the pickleball court, but for the basketball court. You know, it's the time that you got to start redoing them and maintenance them. I want to get these because I already started doing some of the budgetary work. I want to get some estimates so we know if we have to budget this, we will budget for it. If there's other things that we need to do on the pickleball court, we will try to fix those too. This is how it works. You know, you build something, and then when people start using it, they actually start giving you good feedback, and we do take all their feedback, and we try to accommodate as best we can within the budget we have. And if we don't have it this year, then we will accommodate it in the next budget. That's how it kind of works. And I want to thank Manny for taking care of that. And I also want to have, I'm having everybody talk tonight. I want to have Gail talking. He don't know it. But I want to have two things. Like, you know, we have the cruise ships coming in, and I know you're always down there watching them just to see how you think they're going. And I also want you to give your feedback, if you had any, from the EMS stuff. I mean, I know we've had a discussion amongst board members, and but I have an opinion on it, but I wasn't here last meeting when I spoke, so if you want to give a little opinion on it too, you can.
Well, regarding the cruise ships, it would be great if CSX would complete their crossing work so we can, you know, have the correct thing happening down there. But that's,
Well, I'll just give you
that's
that.
out of our hands, and that's
Before
in
you
their
go
hands.
on any further, so CSX, so they did come back, we did get everything up to grade, they did put the piping in that they said they were going to come do from a couple meetings ago. I said they were going to do. They did do that. Now we're on hold because there's a second crew that comes in and does the paving, correct?
Yeah.
The last I talked to, I think it's Michael now, they don't have a time frame for that. This is how CSX works. They give us their time frame, and then we jump and we get down there and we help them. And then after they do that, the third phase is then we have to put fencing up. But
And it's also the signal and gating crew has to come back.
oh no, I'm sorry, correct. The signal and gating crew will come the third,
So
and then the fence.
There's two more
So
operations
it's
to
still
do.
a process, and I've said this many times up here, doing governmental work is a process. It takes time, it's slow, and you have to be persistent and just keep following up on it, and we do. We do follow up, but we're at the mercy of CSX, and they have a lot of major projects they're doing along the rails right now, a lot of upgrades and maintenance of the railroad ties, so, you know, I keep calling, I keep asking, so, sorry, go ahead.
Then on to EMS.
Yep.
Ulster County would like us to create a EMS district, which would be a broken down line item on the tax bill. It's not a new tax. As we discussed last week, it would just basically, the same money that was in the general fund would be more transparent on our tax bills as EMS ambulance service. But in order to, and then this translates into, we have another year left on our ambulance contract, which we got a very good deal with, and the possibility of going to a county-run EMS system once that contract runs out. This kind of all loops into it. Whether we do that or not, it's just thinking ahead. And at this point, Ulster County will pay for the legal fees associated with creating the EMS district. Creating the EMS district does not require us to change any of our providers, but it is a move for our future.
Yep.
So I think once we get our resolution from the county, I would request that we move forward with it. I don't think it would be on the tax bill until 2027, and not, like I said, not that the taxes are going up, it just may look different on our tax bill. It comes out of the general fund, and it's sitting right in front of you.
Yeah, I think
tax
people
bill.
get nervous when you see a new district created, that we're creating a new tax. We're not creating a new tax. This is just what's happening throughout counties around New York State. Because EMS services, if everybody doesn't know, are really, really having hard times attracting people to work in the private sector. So counties are now starting to look at it seriously. We've been pushing for it, I think, God, since I've been on the board 15 years, that the county would actually start taking this a little more seriously and actually looking at this as a county-wide problem, and attracting good talent. And they're actually now at the point where they're actually training people at the county. They actually have classes, they're training EMS providers, they're getting them certified, and then they end up either working for the county or they're working for independent contractors throughout the county. But what the district does, it is going to be the future. It doesn't, like Gail said, it does not change your tax bill. It just breaks your tax bill up to show you what you're paying for your EMS service. Just like if you had water, you would show what you were paying for your water or sewer or library or things of that nature. It's the same tax. Again, I talked to Everett Eckerson at the emergency management. He's the head of it at the county. Verified, yes, by doing this district doesn't mean we have to also automatically jump into the county EMS service provider. Because at this point in time, it is more money than what we are currently paying. Quite a bit more than what we're currently paying. So it really wouldn't make sense for the town of Marlborough right now to join that. I'll give you an example. So their example for us to use them is about $650,000. What we currently pay is about $450,000. So why would we opt to go in there when we have good service currently? So like Gail said, we still have 1 year on our contract. That contract will go back out to bid. Once that contract, probably by the end of next year, we'll start to bid it, and we'll see who gives us the best price. That price would go into the district. So it doesn't mean we're going to raise your taxes $200,000. It doesn't mean we're not going to raise your tax $200,000. It depends on the bid. But I will tell you, EMS services are getting quite expensive. We did lock into a 5-year deal with ambulance.
We got a very good deal.
And we got a very, very good deal with ambulance because they were just coming up into the Hudson Valley area, and they wanted to start out with Marlborough, and we were one of their first contracts that they signed. And when I did this contract with them, myself and the board members talked to them and said, we want a 5-year deal. We don't want to have more than a 3% increase per year, and we want to know our numbers for the next 5 years, and they agreed to it. And we got a very, very good deal, and the county will tell us it's a very, very good deal. Because if you were to start your own EMS service right off the bat, it would probably cost you about $1 million up front to start your own EMS service locally. And that's what they calculate their numbers up at the county on. They base it on a $1 million startup fee. Then your credits backs are transportation to hospitals. As you get transported, you get billed to your insurance, and they get credited money back. So they're looking at a credited back of around $450,000 to us, which levels off that $1 million to the $650, and that's where they get their $650 number. So people are asking, how do they get that number? That's how they get it, and it's based on our call volume. They know our call volumes because 911 goes through the county. They know every call we get. They know every call that gets transported. But there's a lot of stuff going on in EMS, and we've been since day one. I've been working with Gail, and I want to thank him. That's why I wanted him to talk about it too first. Been very proactive and looking forward on this EMS, because EMS is going to be a very expensive avenue for all municipalities going forward. And we have an aging society, and as aging societies age, you're going to have more issues with health and transports and hospital needs, and it's something that you really got to keep top of. So, but
yeah, and when our taxpayers need help, having someone there, like an EMS, service is very important. So money doesn't matter at the time, but we do budget for it.
And the other important thing about creating a district, again, it doesn't change anything, but what it does do is we're also lobbying the state right now. There's certain exemptions in our 2% cap that we all, as a municipality, are held to. Certain things like fire districts, water, things of that nature are exempt from the tax cap. So we may have to collect this amount of tax, but those numbers don't get included in the 2% cap tax. EMS services is one of those that is still included in the tax cap. We as supervisors have been petitioning them for probably ever since I've been on here, 5 years, to say that if we create these districts, will you then make this district not included in the tax cap. There's another reason for us also to make this district, is for that reason. So anyway, we'll discuss more. They did send me a resolution. We as a board will discuss it in the next 2 weeks, and we will bring it to the table next meeting, and we'll have a discussion about it. So anyway, that's what I got, a long supervisor's report. Anybody got any comments on the agenda? Anybody?
Nope.
Reports of committees. Do I have anybody? You already kind of did yours.
I did want to say that Thursday, Marco is having their
Yeah.
Apple unveiling,
Yeah.
Apple Parade unveiling for 2026. And that is this Thursday at 6 p.m. at Locust Grove Brewing Company. I think it'll be most of their apples will be there on display.
Thanks,
And-
Sydney.
Thank you. And so that's this Thursday at 6 p.m. at Locust Grove.
Yep.
And then Milton Landing Committee, another reminder that we're planning the Landing Fest for this year is September 26th. It's going to be a band down there. It's going to be in the afternoon. I don't know the exact time off my head. And right now the Schooner Apollonia is coming that day, and we'll you could schedule to go sailing out there with the Schooner Apollonia. September 26th. Yeah, so that's going to be right down by the train station again this year. I think the band is a Grateful Dead cover band.
Grateful Dead.
I did not book it.
Who booked them? That's funny.
Al found them.
Okay, Grateful Dead it is. Grateful Dead it is.
Yeah, and then I also wanted to mention while we're on the topic of emergency services, tonight at the Marlborough High School, Ulster County Emergency Services hosted a graduation for all the students that took Firefighter 1 this year in Ulster County. And we were lucky it was right here. I didn't get to go to it because of the board meeting, but they graduated 69 firefighters out of 4 classes, 2 from Milton, 1 from Marlborough. And I got to say, the 2 guys from Milton are both in their mid-20s, 30, with kids and wives and jobs. And, you know, to take a 150-hour class, nights and weekends, is incredible. So, and to graduate 69 firefighters in 1 year
That's awesome.
is great. Ulster County's doing a good job with that, so.
And thanks to the school
Yes.
too, because when, Gail had asked Mike Rydell again if they could utilize the school for this, and without a heartbeat, he was like, absolutely. So, these are our public facilities.
Yeah, we
so
were
it's
lucky to
nice.
get them down here in Marlborough. Lucky for the local guys, because, I mean, they come from all the way from
Yeah.
Shandaken and Big Indian for this. So, and it's usually generally either in Stone Ridge at the college or at SUNY New Paltz. But because of construction, Marlborough is the only place with air conditioning and the auditorium, so it
That
came to
was the
Marlborough.
real reason. Plus, we have the living room. But yeah, I mean, they're great. So, all right. So then we're going to go into new and old business. Does anybody on the board have any other business they want to discuss? What we haven't discussed? I got a couple correspondence. So this one is from Vince Manisi. Per my discussion last week with Mr. Corcoran, I'd like to formally request the recognition of Frank Penzella, my grandfather, who was the first building inspector of the town of Marlborough. Frank was the building inspector for approximately 5 years, give or take, in the early 1970s, and helped build the initial groundwork for today's intricate rules, regulations, and guidelines. I do not believe Marlborough had any formal set of building guidelines in place in that time. Therefore, Frank used whatever he could to gather from the New York State and tried to extract what information he and the town board at the time felt would and should apply to the town of Marlborough. I do not believe he drew a salary, nor would he take reimbursement for travel to and for, and nor to the registration costs for seminars and workshops of the New York State Building Guidance, some of which were in the World Trade Center in New York City. As he felt HE was the one gaining the knowledge for these seminars, and the town taxpayers would not have to pay for that. After several years, Frank felt he had accomplished what the town board had asked him to do, and it was time to pass on the baton. I believe that was Harry Johnson or Nat Coletta. Following Frank, I'm not sure. There are several gentlemen who have helped the town of Marlborough in various ways and in various positions, rightfully recognizing in the displayed case in the town hall. I personally feel that the very first building inspector in Marlborough should be one of them. I would appreciate if the current town board would consider this request. Respectfully, Vince Manisi. I sent this to all you guys. Every one of you agreed that this is something we would really like to do for Frank, the Manisi family. Vince and the family are going to be up here. I forget what time, but he gave me the dates. He sent me a picture of Frank. So we are going to get something made up. We're going to have a ceremony here. And, you know, Miss Manisi will make it in here. And, you know, she's older, but she's coming in. And she's very proud of, you know, this. And, yeah, so I think we're going to be good with this. So I'm going to get that all set up and look for it out on our town website and our Facebook page, and we'll promote it when we're going to have it. So thank you.
You're going to give her a private Marlborough, right?
It's going to kind of be like a Pride of Marlborough. It's more of like, you know how we have the plaques in the upstairs? Mm-hmm. So we'll have one plaque that we're going to give the family and one plaque that we'll display upstairs. So, and it'll basically give an overview of what Frank, when he served and what he did for the community and being the first building inspector. A lot of people don't realize that we didn't really have building codes and all this stuff until the 70s, which is kind of crazy, right? If you think about it. But, yeah, he was the first guy to do it, and he did it voluntarily, so it's kind of amazing. So yeah, we'll have it all out there. This one is from Robert Nieder. Dear Town Supervisor, the family of Matthew Bewick will be hosting the motorcycle run Saturday, September 19th, 2026. The ride is for fundraising for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. This ride will start from and end at the Locust Grove Brewing in Milton, New York. The ride will begin at 10:30 a.m. with assistance from the Raging Knights Firefighter Motorcycle Club. The club will assist in safe passage at every intersection. Roads that will be utilized are North Road, Western Avenue, Platico Road, Milton Turnpike. If you have any questions, feel free to contact me. And that's from Robert Nieder. I know the chief is well aware of this. We had conversations about it. If you haven't seen, there's flyers around the town right now for this event. And if anybody would like to donate for the suicide prevention and donate to this great cause, that they've been doing this for quite a few years now. I think it's a really good cause, and yes, we have no problem with it. So I'm glad that they're not doing this. They gave this to us probably heads up 2 months ago, but just formally wrote the letter today. So, and that's what I got for correspondence. So this time for public comment. Anybody got any public comments? Any specific public comments? Going once, going twice. All right, we're going to then go right into Resolution 55. So this resolution came out of, the planning, this really came out of the planning board, and they've given us feedback because there's been a lot of issues with this, when they get their site plan review, and then there's a special use permit, and there's you have to start in 1, build in 3, get an extension. It's just been crazy. And we had touched on this maybe a couple years ago now, where we gave it to where you can extend up to 7 years max. So instead of them coming back every time and saying, I need an extension, it's a lot of work by the planning board secretary. There's a lot of paperwork, there's a lot of work by the planning board and coming back and wasting their time in front of the planning board. What we're trying to do is to, number one, make this regular site plan review and the special permit review the same, both on the same, because before they weren't, which means we're going to say you have 7 years. So from the time you get your site plan review completed at the planning board, you have 7 years to complete your project. If you don't complete your project in 7 years, you're going to lose your site plan and you would have to come back and do the whole thing over again. Or we're going to give the planning board discretion and I think it's in their ballpark to do this, not ours, I think the board agrees, is that we will give them discretion to give a one-year extension if they so choose to. And that would probably, based on talking to the chairman and a couple of the planning board members, that would only probably happen if they see that the project has started, right? And they're in the middle of the project, or they're right at the tail end of the project, and they need like another year or 6 months to complete. Then they would probably say, okay, we're going to give you that one-year extension. If they see that the project was never started and never went anywhere, I would more than think that they're not going to give them the extension, from what I heard from them. But that's the discretion of the planning board. And the reason why we put a time limit on it is because when you do all this work in the site plan reviews and you expect certain incomes to come in from a tax revenue, expenditures to sewer plants, when they give X amount of dollars to the sewer plant and we upgrade our sewer plants based on what they're going to do and they don't do it, it's wasting everybody's time and money to do so. So we need them to complete these projects. We believe 7 years is a pretty good time frame, and a lot of people say 7 years seems like a long time, but when you're doing some of these bigger projects, it almost takes 2 years sometimes to just get Board of Health approval, get all your DEC approvals, your DOT approvals. All those things take years actually to actually get formalized. Financing is another part of it. You know, that can take years to get, and some of these are 20 to 50 to $100 million projects. They're not simple projects anymore. Even to just build a simple 200-room condominium project is probably a $20 to $50 million project based on what you're building. So very expensive. So I think 7 years is a good time. And so what we're doing is we're aligning the site plan, the special use plan to 7 years. You don't have to go back every year to get an extension. You have 7 years, and that's what we're doing here in a nutshell. All right? So, resolution number 55, introduce a local law of the year 2026. Supervisor Corcoran proposes and seconded by, anybody want to second this one?
I'll second it.
By Councilman Cauchi. Introduce the following proposed local law of the to be known as local law of the year numbered of 2026. It gets numbered when we pass it. A local law of the town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155-31K, site plan review, and Chapter 155-32L, special use permit of the town code of the town of Marlborough to modify expiration periods of the site plan and special use permit approvals. Be it enacted by the town board of the town of Marlborough that the code of the town of Marlborough, the code is amended as follows. Section 1, Section 155-31K, site plan review of the code is amended to read as follows. Deletions are stricken, additions are underscored. K, expiration of approval, site plan review and approval shall be void if construction is not completed within 7 years of the date of site plan approval, as described herein. Extension of the 7-year period of expiration shall be the sole discretion of the planning board and shall apply to any project or request such extension in writing filled within the town no later than, excuse me, I don't have my glasses on, the day preceding the date of which the approval of the set expires. The 7-year period, oh, thank you, Gail, begins on the date of the planning board adoption of resolution either to approve the site plan approval with conditions or approve with modifications pursuant to section 155-3111A. The fee for extension request pursuant to section shall set by the town board in accordance with 155-47. Section 2, 155-32L, special use permit of the code is amended as follows. Deletions are stricken, additions are underscored. L, expiration of special use permits. A special permit shall be void if construction is not completed within 7 years of the date of the special use permit approved, as described herein. Extensions of the 7-year period of expiration shall be at the sole discretion of the planning board and shall apply to all projects with requests such as extensions in writing filled within the town no later than the 7-day preceding the date which approval is set to expire. The 7-year period beginning on the date of the planning board adoption and resolution, either to approve the special use permit, approve with conditions, or approve with modifications pursuant to section 155-32D1. The fee for extensions requested pursuant to this section shall be set by the town board in accordance with section 155-47. So you'll see they're pretty much basically the same. Section 3, if any of these sections of the local law shall be held unconstitutional, invalid, or ineffective, the whole, in part, such determination shall not be deemed to affect, impair, and invalidate the remainder of the law. Section 4, the local law shall be effective upon filing with the Secretary of State, whereas on July 27, 2026, the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough introduced a local law number of the year 2026 to be known as the local law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York, amending Chapter 155-31K, Site Plan Review, and Chapter 155-32L, Special Use Permit of the Code of the Town of Marlborough, to modify expiration periods of the site plan and special use permit approvals, the proposed local law. And whereas this proposal law is unlisted action under the New York State Environmental Quality Review Act, SECRA, and 6 MYCRR Part 617, as the only involved agency, the town board is designated the lead agency for SECRA review pursuant to 6 MYCRR Section 617.2 and V. And whereas the town board has caused to be prepared, a short-term environmental assessment form, SEAF Part 1, pursuant to SECRA for its review and consideration, and whereas the town board caused to be prepared a waterfront assessment form, WAF, pursuant to the Code, Local Waterfront Revitalization Program, LWRP, for its review and consideration, and the town board will make a policy consistently determination pursuant to the Code, Section 99-7, I-1-13, prior to adoption of the proposed local law. And whereas pursuant to municipal home rule of the state of New York, it will be necessary to hold a public hearing upon proposed local law. Therefore, it be resolved the town board has reviewed the SEAF Part 1 and the WAAF and ratifies the supervisor execution of the documents and the finding contained here therein. Be it further resolved that the pursuant to Code Section 155-49, the town directs the town clerk to refer the proposed local law to the Town of Marlborough Planning Board for its review and comments. Be it further resolved that the town board directs the town clerk to refer the proposed local law to Ulster County Board of Planning and Development for comments pursuant to General Municipal Law GML 239-M. Be it further resolved the town board directs its consultants to prepare SEAF Part 2 and 3 for its consideration. Be it further resolved that pursuant to local law section 264 and the municipal home rule law of the state of New York, a public hearing will be held in relation to proposed local law set forth in the form of notice hereinafter, provided in which hearing parties and interests of the citizens shall have an opportunity to be heard. The public hearing will be held at the Town Hall, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, 12547, on August 10th, 2026 at 7 p.m. prevailing time. And that notice of said meeting shall be published in the official newspaper of general circulation of the Town of Marlborough by the town clerk at least 10 days prior to such hearing, and the notice shall be in the following form. Take notice that the Town Board of the Town of Marlborough will hold a public hearing at the Town Hall Facility, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, on August 10th, 2026, 7 o'clock p.m. prevailing time, on proposed local law number of 2026, a local law of the Town of Marlborough, Ulster County, New York. Amending Chapter 155-31, Site Plan Review, and Chapter 155-32, Special Use Permit of the Code of the Town of Marlborough to modify expiration periods of site plan and special use permit approvals. Take further notice that the copies of the aforesaid proposal local law will be available for examination at the office of the clerk of the Town of Marlborough, 21 Milton Turnpike, Milton, New York, 12547, between the hours of 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. on all business days between the date of this notice and the date of the public hearing. Take further notice that all citizens and parties of interest shall have an opportunity to be heard and said proposal at the time and the place for set. Be it further resolved that at least 10 days prior to this date, the public hearing, the town clerk shall provide written notice of public hearing, the Ulster County Board and adjacent municipalities and counties within 500 feet of the Town of Marlborough boundary pursuant to New York Town Law Section 264 2 and Code Section 155-50B. The foregone resolution was duly put to vote, which resulted as follows.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Kauke?
Yes.
Councilman Zambito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sousa?
I am one of the people that thinks that 7 years is a long time for a project. So yes, at this time, but very interested in the public comments and the recommendations of the Ulster County Planning Board before we officially adopt the law.
Thank you.
Councilman Abler?
I agree with Sharada too. I hope people
Yeah.
come down and give us their comments about this 7 years, so, yes.
All right. Resolution 56, and just so everybody knows, you currently have 7 years, just so you know, right? It's not like you don't have 7 years, you just got to get approved for 7 years, which has never not happened. So, just so you know. But anyway, Resolution 56, to approve a proposition for Sarah Holick Library. So Supervisor Clark proposes the following. So if everybody doesn't know, when the library in Milton, we collect their taxes for them. Again, that would be the district you will see on your line item. But in order for them to get on to change their budget or increase their budget, they have to have us do a resolution so they could get on to the general election for a vote. So this is what this is for. So notice of submission of questions to voters of the town of Marlborough at the next general election. Notice is hereby given that pursuant of New York State Educational Law, Section 259-113, in accordance with the provisions of New York State election law, the following questions will be submitted to the qualified voters of the town of Marlborough at the general election to be held on the third day of November 2026. Shall the annual, and this is what they're going to be asking everybody, shall the annual contribution of the town of Marlborough for the operating budget of the Sarah Holick Free Library be increased by $19,866 to the sum of $280,526 annually. That was what you're going to be on the ballot. Further notice is hereby given that said election shall be held at the Marlborough Community Center at St. Mary's Recreation Hall in the town of Marlborough on the third day of November 2026, and the polls will be open on that day between the hours of 6 a.m. and 9 p.m. And that's to Daniel Cherubini, Town Clerk, Town of Marlborough, and moves for its adoption.
Supervisor Corcoran?
Yes.
Councilman Zambito?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sessa?
Yes.
Councilman Cowkey?
Yes.
Councilman Abler Jr.?
Yes.
All right, Manny.
Okay, it's 8:14. I make a motion to adjourn.
I need a second.
I'll second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, so moved. Thank you, everybody.